Welcome to Is Love Enough, where we're changing lives one conversation at a time.
We are being joined today by Mr. Sean Poindexter and Renee Poindexter. Can you introduce yourselves?
How you doing? I'm sorry.
Hi, and I'm Renee Poindexter.
Thank you for joining us tonight. We are so glad to have you to discuss, to talk about Is Love Enough? And we're going to throw the first question right at you guys. Is love enough?
Do you think love is
I
enough?
believe it is.
Yes, it can be.
It can be. It needs a little extra stuff with it, like trust and communication to make it
Right.
work. But love is a good foundation.
Yes. Let me ask you a question. How long have you been a couple and how many years you've been married?
We have been a couple for 9 years, and we've been married for going on 2 years. It'll be 2 years in next year in April.
How has marriage been the first 2 years? What has changed? How has your life grown, or how has your life what has impacted your life since you've been married?
Oh Lord, you want to go first?
It's been a little bit of everything. Some went backwards and one went forward, and now it keeps going forward now that we finally figured out what it is we're supposed to do within our marriage and within our love.
So what does it look like? Well, what was positive and what was negative there?
Ooh.
Well, I say the negatives is just things we were doing that we weren't used to having not to be able to do because we've been single for a while.
Others.
And the positives is we've learned a lot, we've grown a lot. We definitely figured out who we are more within each other in all areas.
Grown in what areas you think you've grown the most in?
Mostly in trust. Because we at one point in time there wasn't a lot of trust.
And communication, because communication was not. Yeah, trust and communication was our biggest areas. We was not connecting in.
So would you say something happened to hurt the trust?
Yes, it was infidelity on his part, and that hurt it. It took a tremendous toll because after a while, for me it was like, okay, God, I'm about to move on, but every time it was just something about him that would bring me right back to him. So yeah, but it was most definitely infidelity that hurt it.
So how did you overcome to get where you are now?
Oh God, a lot of prayers. A lot of prayers. I mean, it's been some other things. I'm not gonna lie. Like, we've done a lot of fighting and words exchanged and actions exchanged. But for my part, I could say it was a lot of prayers. God knows I've been crying and crying and crying and crying and begging and pleading and begging. And I'm like, why God? Why God? Change him, change him, change him. So to me, it's been a lot of prayers for me.
Sean?
Just learning not to let my past come in and affect my future. And then just stop being stubborn and big-headed and doing the things that I knew was wrong, but just doing them just because it made me feel better and not my other half.
That's good. That's good, because a lot of times as men, we have to learn not to let our past interfere with what we have now. We have to look at what we have now and appreciate it. And a lot of men can't get there. So can you tell us how you got there? How you start to get away from the past?
Really just kind of just stopped worrying about the past and just started going by day to day and see what was really in front of me. Once I stopped doing the extra stuff I was doing, I started noticing my family change a little bit, noticing how, I can really see what they were doing versus me not really knowing what they was doing. Me just being out and gone, and the kids as well, not just my wife. But then I started communicating a lot more. I started telling everything I see now, everything I'm doing, everything I'm having, and then I just learned from there whether she's gonna like it or she's not gonna like it, or if I'm gonna need to change it at the time or not.
So you think communication, is it the same? Has it gotten better? You think communication is key
I believe
to where you are now?
Yes, I believe it's key to where we at now because I did not used to talk at all. If I get mad at the house, I'm going to do my thing and I don't care how nobody else feels. And that was another big thing. I never really cared about how anybody else felt as long as what I was doing was making me happy. But I had to realize, I had to make the wife happy alone and the house to be happy.
Happy wife, happy life, right?
Yeah. Took a long time to figure that out, but I finally figured it out. Even when I don't want to tell her stuff, I just go to tell her.
What were some of the things with trust and communication that you learned?
Communication wise, some things she's not gonna like that I would say, and then some things she is, but as long as I said it, and nothing can ever go back and say she can never go back and say that I never told her anything. If I speak what's on my mind and tell her what's on my mind right then and there, we could always get to the bottom of it. It's never something that I had held on inside of me to where I was getting angry about it. And trust, I never really had a trust issue with her. I was the one that had all the trust issues. I couldn't be trusted. I even told myself I couldn't be trusted. But once I started communicating more, my trust, her trust in me came back a lot more, and I was able to do a lot more. Even though I thought I was doing a whole lot, when I was doing everything on my own, I really wasn't doing anything. But once I started communicating more and I got her trust back, she kind of just opened up and started letting me be me. But I just had to be, set some ground rules for myself and my marriage, to keep them all in respectable standards.
So I think that's a really wise thing that you could admit that and recognize it to change the behavior to get to the place where you have honest communication with your wife so she can trust you. And that's where a lot of men struggle at, not recognizing what's going on with them. Like you said yourself, you couldn't be trusted. So you recognize what the issue was for yourself and then came to your wife. And then you begin to build that relationship. I think that's a really good point. A lot of men's going to hear that and change the way they're thinking.
Yes, I have a question for you, Renee. After hearing what Sean said about the communication and the trust issue, what role has God played in the church in the healing process? Because I heard you mention a lot of prayer and stuff. Can you elaborate on that?
I think since I have been praying a lot, I think God has came through because like he said, we've been starting to open up a lot. And that's what I've just been praying to God about, like for him to be the man that I know I married, for him to be the man that I want him to be. I need him to be, not want him to be, but I need him to be the man that his daughter needs to see him become, the man that his daughter needs to marry when she gets older. She needs to look at a man and say, you need to be like my father. My father was a loving man. My father didn't play that mess. My father didn't go about that. So I need to have that same type of thing like I have with my father. So God played a huge role in that. He answered a lot of prayers. Even to this day, he's still answering prayers. But my real thing was just like me finding trust in him again and him communicating with me. Even if he felt like he might want it, if you saw something today and you're like, baby, I almost stepped out. I'll tell me that. And I'll let me deal with it the way I'm going to deal with it. But tell me that, because if you come and communicate with me, then we can handle it together. And then we can communicate on how we're going to fix that or how we're going to go about that type of thing.
So I have a question for you guys, because we know in the African American community, it's kind of taboo to get counseling or seek out help. We've been taught as people, you deal with it yourself. You don't go outside and tell people your problems. What good is talking about it going to do? So how did counseling or talking to someone that's been married longer help the situation? Did it help or did it hurt?
Oh my God, it helped. It helped. A lot of people don't know, but before we started counseling, I had let him know this had to be a role. If I was going to remain in the marriage, this had to be something we do. It had to be a counseling, because there's no way with my head. I know I'm big-headed, and I know that I can. Sometimes a problem come up, and I was like, nope. And I know I turn a blind eye to it, or I got my attitude up and my guard up. So I'm not really, it's what I say is go. So I said, no, we need an intermediate. So when we did go to counseling, like I told him, like, you have to do the work. We're both going to have to do the work. In order for this to work, we're going to have to do the work, and you're going to have to change. So I can say it's been a huge success between the both of us, because again, our communication is stronger. The love is stronger. We talk a lot. We spend some time, but we're going to work on that.
At least I ain't doing extra bad stuff with my time now.
Yeah.
I'm actually good with my time.
We're going to work on that. But, yeah.
So spending time together, how important is that to you, Renee? Being able to spend time with Sean, just the two of you, because I know you be together with the kids, but that's something different. But just the two of you, how important is that to you?
It's very important. I just told him the other day, what was that, last week I told you that I said that we need to have a date night, like every week, or we need to have a date night either every week or twice a month. Something like where we just come together and we just have our night. No kids, nobody, no friends, no family, just me and you. We need to have a date night. So it's very important to me because like that's our intimate time. That's our time to get to know who you are, how your day was, how your week is going, what are our goals, what are you going to do about life, what am I going to do about life, what are we going to do about this marriage. So it's very important to me.
I think that's so good because a lot of times we have to find our girlfriend and our boyfriend that we fell in love with, and date nights help spark that back. Me and Pastor have date nights all the time. We just had a weekend away where we were boyfriend and girlfriend, not husband and wife, but boyfriend and girlfriend. That's finding that spark that made you want to marry that person in the first place. So if we ask this question, since all of this happened, have you guys found your spark back?
I say half of it, if not almost 3/4 of it. Maybe not the whole thing, but it's a day-to-day work in progress. We had some stuff that comes up, and as she knows, I get real stressful about work. So if it's something that I'm trying to do, the better us, I'm immediately and I'm on it. So I'm not really thinking about anything else. But for the most part, even though I'm extremely busy doing things, I still try to make a little bit of time for, even if it's 20, 30 minutes before I pass out in the bed, anything. I just try to just be in her face, getting on her nerves, and let her know, hey, I'm still thinking about you every step of the day, but I'm just out here trying to get what I can get, to help us.
Yeah, because he's so good now. He called me during the day. I'm like, that boy don't never call me during no day. Sometimes I'll be like, you all right? But he's like, no, I'm just calling to check on you. I'm taking a lunch break, so I'm just seeing how your day going. I'm like, oh, you never, but okay, I like it.
That's good. That's good because we've been married 27 years, and I do the same thing all the time. I'll text him, okay, hey, my love, what are you doing? And I think it's great. It's like when we're together, it's great. When he's gone, I'm like, I miss you. So that line of communication between us has gotten stronger. And like he said, with the date night, I can't wait to date night. I'll be looking for, okay, babe, what we gonna do? I just feel like a teenager, so.
And I look forward to the text. Like today, in the middle of class, stuff was going crazy, and my phone beeped. I looked down. It was a text from Pastor, and it just, made my day go by a little bit sweeter, a little bit better, knowing that she was thinking of me. And I get a little quick text back and put the phone away. But it's really nice to have that, just that little text, that's that little "I love you," makes you really feel that connection.
Yeah. Sometimes when he called me, I'd be like, dang, I just was about to call you, but you done call me. And then he done been on my mind, or I'll text him and I'm like, oh, I miss you, or I'll see you when you get home, or whenever you get home. And then next thing you know, he done pop up home. And I'm like, okay, well, I like it.
Listen, well, it's time for us to take a little commercial break, and we'll be right back after this.
We're calling all golfers, amateur and professional alike, to come tee off at the first annual Tee Off for Youth Financial Literacy Golf Classic Charity Tournament on October 30th from 1 to 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Join WYTV7 at the Old Sycamore Golf Plantation and help raise money to train, mentor, and support the next generation of literate creative and independent young entrepreneurs. You can register as a sponsor, a player, or a team by calling our office Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time at 980-202-2915. You can also visit us online at www.wytv7.org/golf-classic-tournament for more information on how you can participate in the tournament. So let's hit the greens together and help create a more prosperous future for Charlotte, one tee at a time.
Welcome back to Is Love Enough, where we're changing lives one conversation at a time.
We would like to thank WYTV7 Community Broadcast for hosting us.
We're back with the Poindexters, and we were talking about love, marriage, and trust. I want to ask this question to Renee first. Renee, how did it look building the trust back for you? How did you get the trust back?
Oh, it looked real shaky. Like, it looked real rough. I didn't think I was, like, because I'm real stubborn. I know I'm stubborn, but it looked rough at one point. I was like, how can I trust a man that broke me, like, real bad? Like, it's really difficult. Like, it's nothing easy. But like I said, when it took a lot of prayers, it took family, it took friends. Yeah, it took a lot for me to get there. But I mean, he played a role in it too, with all his communicating and him trying, and like the constant apologies, the reassuring me, and the taking care of, making sure that I'm okay, making sure that I'm all right, making sure that, you know, he's checking in and he's always doing what he needs to do on his part. That helped a lot too with the trust.
And Sean, would you say you started to do this intentionally to build back the trust?
Not necessarily intentionally. I just started, one day I just started realizing how she would not complain about certain things at one point in time. And I just started repeating the actions. Like, I used to go out and she wouldn't know where I was at. I stopped doing that and started hanging around more. So I used to tell everybody, well, if you want to see me, you got to come to the house. Even the other females that would come around to come see me, I was like, you got to come to the house. So if you want to see me, you got to see my wife at the same time. She always got her eyes on me. And once again, every place I went, I called her and told her where I was. I always had somebody else there reassuring it. She knows everybody that I hang with. She knows all of their phone numbers. So she could call either one, so I can't lie. She always pulls up to check on me wherever I'm at. And then at the same time, I had no reason for her not to know where I was at. Especially if I'm just hanging out with friends, wasn't no reason for her not to know where she could pull up at any time and see me.
Right, because I will pull up.
I often say that men, and some men get mad when I say this, but I often say men, we are still the 5-year-olds playing in the sandbox. So we do learn by reward and consequence. So this pleases the wife this time, and we go, okay, I'm gonna do that again. She's happy, because men do really respond to reward and consequence.
Right.
Yeah, you do, because I just love just being in his presence. So I can't say I know, but trust is definitely you have to have that in a relationship, along with communication. And I think by Sean, you building the trust back, when Renee is able to trust you again, I think you made the right decision. You held in and prayed, and God is working on the situation, on your marriage.
So now let's talk about what this looks like now. So we had that difficult moment. We had to rebuild the trust. We had to rebuild the communication. What does it look like now? How has the marriage changed?
You such a man. Oh Lord, it's changed. It's changed tremendously. Like, I can say, like, now when I think of him, I do feel like a little high school girl, and I just feel like, oh, it's my baby. Yeah. But it changed tremendously. Like, the feelings I felt for him when I first met him just came, like it flutters back. Like, it's like, okay, there goes that guy that I met that was trying to court me, the guy that tried his best to get to know who I was. There goes that guy. That's the guy that I fell in love with. That's the guy that I'm interested in. That's the guy that the Lord placed in my life. So that's the man that I'm in love with now. So now I can say it's good. I like him a lot.
Oh, so you like the new Sean?
Yeah, I like him.
And Sean,
Oh, don't take no deep breaths.
I mean, I kind of agree with everything she said because she's always been there for me. I mean, I've gotten her to do a lot more than what I used to be able to get her to do. And she goes along with a lot more things that I suggest versus just, throwing them off to one side and not really worrying about what I'm saying.
Yeah. God knows I would.
Okay, what advice would you have for couples dealing with trust issues and communication? What advice can you give, Renee?
Yeah.
Well, both of you, whoever wants to answer it, can start. Go ahead.
Go. Okay.
Man, I would say if you are going through something out there, communication is one. Like, communicate with your partner. First of all, always include God in whatever it is you do. Always include God, because that was my mistake. I didn't include God. I was big and bad, and I thought I could do it on my own, but obviously not, because I took a lot of prayers to get him back to where he is. So, first of all, include God. 1, 2, communicate with your partner. Always communicate with your partner with whatever you feeling. Like, if you feeling like I want to murder you today, you let them know that. Like, and always have love between y'all, because once the love is there, then you're good. And like my counselor has said, always remain friends first.
And don't ever think the work is done. The
Right.
work is never done. Even though the trust is still there, they still have dreams. They still have assumptions. It is always there. Just the trick is not to get mad about it. Just laugh about it and just let them have their assumptions. It'll be gone later in the day.
Didn't I tell you not to get on here and say that?
I'm talking to the guys out in the world. Some people not as strong-headed. You keep accusing them and they want to split off and go the other way like you never trust. But like I say, it's never over. It's always going to be an ongoing thing. It's just not as bad as it was when you first started having to get back there.
that's good. Yeah. So we talk a lot about communication. So I want to ask you guys, because some people really don't know what communication is. We say communicate. And people think, okay, you say it, what is it? What does communication look like for you two?
Me personally, I still don't know what it is really. I just tell her everything about my day, everything that gets encountered, everything that piques my interest, anything that comes my direction that I feel is not right, I'm gonna speak. And above all, I don't care how she feels, I'm always gonna tell her how I feel. As long as you know how I feel, you can never say that I never told you anything. So if you decide to leave me today because of how I feel, then that's a good reason for you to go. But it'd never be up out of the blue. Never.
Communication is communicating with everything. That's with your life, my life, decisions we make, things we buy, even when it comes to kids, everything is to communicate. Everything has to be communicated. Financial, family, even on your side, my side, how you feeling, how I'm feeling. Communication is everything all around. It's not just how you feeling in the relationship or if the relationship changed, it's all around communication.
And we tell people all the time that communication is not hiding secrets. It's not having secrets from one another. So actually telling each other how you feel. Because a lot of times when you're communicating, we hide how we feel, and then it comes out in a negative act or emotion later on because we're hiding it. It's a secret. So when you can get rid of all of the secrets and communicate honestly, that is good communication.
Yes, being married to you, I can't help but communicate, because sometimes I have something going on and and you know about it. And I'm like, he's like, babe, well, what's wrong? I said, well, nothing, I'm all right. So he get to the point where I know something wrong, just come out and tell me. So he has picked communication from me because I'm not all the time going to say what's on my mind right then. But after a while, I'll convey how, what's going on. So only way things going to get solved is by communicating. So it's definitely key in a marriage and in a relationship.
Yeah, because he was like that. I had to pick it out of him. He'll walk around, he'll make this face like he a sad little puppy. And I'm like, you all right? And then he'd be like, no, I'm fine. I'm like, no, you're not okay. I said I'm fine. No, you're not fine. But okay. I'll let him have it, and I'll leave for about 10 minutes. I'll let him have his little pout or whatever, whatnot. And then if he still don't tell me by the end of the night, now I'm picking it out of you. Now, what is wrong? Because ain't no way you're going to go to sleep without telling me what's wrong with you.
Right, because if you are in tune to your mate at all, you should be able to pick up that something's off, something's not quite right, something is going on here that we need to find out what's going on with my mate. We are almost out of time. I want to ask you guys to give another piece of advice, Renee, to women that are in a similar situation and need to trust their husband again, find their friend and their lover again. And then Sean, to men that are in a similar situation to build the trust back. Renee?
To my ladies out here, my married women, or even if you're in a relationship, it doesn't matter. But find out who you are. Love who you are, because you can't love your mate until you love yourself. So love yourself first, and then find that spark that got you connected in the first place. Find that spark and jump back there and start back there. Start talking and letting them know how you feel, what's going on with you, and the place that you stand right now. Just be honest and open every time.
And gentlemen, I suggest that you just sit back for a second and look about how you want your life to go and how you want your woman to feel. As long as you communicate, be trustworthy and honest with them, you have nowhere to go but up.
Well, thank you guys for joining us tonight on Is Love Enough? Changing conversations one life at a time. We want to thank WYTV7 Community Broadcasting for hosting Is Love Enough? Is Love Enough is a show that is reaching out to couples. And we know in the pandemic that this has been a stressful time for marriages. And we want to invite you to join us every week to be a guest on Is Love Enough, to explore what love really is.
Yes, our email address is gtlm.isloveenough@gmail.com. And our telephone number is 912-509-0178. And our mission is to explore the unspoken cares of love and our impact on families.
Because we know sometimes love is not enough. You need more with it, like communication, trust, being best friends, finding your spark back, really knowing your mate. All of that is a part of love. So join us next week on Is Love Enough?